Good afternoon to you in Europe. Here in São Paulo, Brazil, it's still morning. My name is Claudia Visoni, and I welcome you to the session, Activism and Public Policy, Cross-Pollination to Support Urban Agriculture. First of all, let me introduce myself. I'm a journalist, activist, and urban farmer. And I'm also a co-congresswoman in a collective mandate at São Paulo State Parliament. Therefore, I participate in both sides of the subject that we will discuss here today. I truly believe that public policies without the engagement of citizens remain weak. And I also believe that all the efforts of activists can't make urban agriculture evolve in a bigger scale without the support of public policies. This is happening all the time in the botanic world. It's when one plant needs another to disseminate. This is the concept of cross-pollination. There are 4 speakers in this section. Giulia Giacche, agronomist, PhD in territorial planning and coordinator at Urban Agriculture Research Office at Agro Paris Tech. She will guide us in a brief tour through urban agriculture in France. Nicolas Gianelloni, my neighborhood in South America, we will talk about the wonderful public policies that the city of Rosario in Argentina have developed in the past 2 decades. Silvia from Mexico will bring the experience of RIE, the International Network of Educational Gardens. And after the colleagues' presentations, I will talk about the scenery in Brazil and my different experiences on urban agriculture, from my home garden to community gardens, from an activist initiative fighting hunger to my experience trying to inoculate the interest on urban agriculture inside the political system. Each speaker will talk from 10 to 15 minutes. If you have questions, please send them in the chat. After the presentations, I hope we'll have time to answer them. That's why I kindly ask my colleagues to respect the time limit. None of us are English native speakers. We'll have translation from Spanish. You can choose the language, actually. If you are here in English, you can jump to Spanish or vice versa. And I ask you to be patient with our language differences. Now I invite dear Giulia to be very welcome to the ORF and make your presentation.
Thank you, Claudia, for inviting me. I'm very glad to participate at this debate, and I'll try to share my presentation. Can you see it? You can see it?
Yes, we can.
Thanks. I have organized my presentation in 2 parts. First, I'd like to introduce a briefly historical perspective of urban agriculture public policy evolution, and then I'll present our methodology to accompany municipalities to develop urban agriculture project, focusing on a case of study. On some points, I'll go through very quick. So if you are interested, you can ask me and we develop more on the discussion part. So the objective of the first part is provide some crossing point in a long history of urban agriculture evolution, which is often, as Claudia said, at the crossroad between public policies and collective action. On 1896, when the Abbé Jules Lemire, deputy from the north, founded the French League of Land and Home in order to distribute to the head of household a piece of land for growing vegetables to provide the family supply. In 1916, the French Ministry of Agriculture funded those actions, especially in a time of shortage during the two world wars. At the same time, in North America, the Victory Garden has been developed, and in Italy, the Orti di Guerra. So you can see the growing cereals in the front of Milan Cathedral. In 1952, the term of allotment garden was, I think that's something, doesn't work with my presentation, I'm so sorry, but I'm sorry. So as I see, in 1952, the term of allotment garden entered in the French Rural Code and protected them by law. And 20 years later, in New York City, the Green Guerrilla movement emerged, reclaiming vacant plot to creating green space accessible to all. This movement is considered as a grassroots of community garden movement that in French emerged in 1997, when the first meeting of individuals or associations that are involved already in the community garden movement, they meet each other and they discuss about their best practice and their experiences, and they decide to create a first association at national level that calls Garden on all the states. And in order to promote the community gardens. And after that also emerged some public programs like in Paris, Green and Main Vert in 2003. During 90, I don't know what's going on. Yes, during 90, therefore, it's begun also to develop other projects with a more productive or commercial vocation, to which we refer by urban agriculture. Those projects are promoted by public policy, but also civil society, and they contribute both for food supply and job creation, and emerge often successive to crisis. And we know the example of island of Cuba or Detroit or the small town of Todmorden, where emerged the incredible edible movement. And at this moment in France, urban agriculture is perceived as a tool to build sustainable city. And local authorities are launching tenders or announcements looking for ideas, project operators who can both ensure the space management by contributing to the reterritorialization of a part of the food production, but also to provide ecosystem services to city dwellers. And in France, we are witnessing an upscaling of urban agriculture in all its forms, from garden to urban agriculture. Why? Because on the one hand, in 2016, a French association of professional urban farmers was created to federate all individuals, associations, and enterprises that are working on urban agriculture. And this association allows members to discuss between each other, develop skills, and also do a lobby to local stakeholders and ministries. And on the other hand, urban agriculture appears on the public agenda of different ministries, like agriculture, but also ecological transition and social cohesion. So AFOP, the association, start to mapping the different projects, and they mapped already 1,200 initiatives. And we can see that are localized more around the metropolis like Paris, Lyon, Marseille, and so on. So French cities are increasingly interested in developing urban agriculture projects, but often they lack appropriate tools to promote and carry out these projects. For this reason, Christine Aubry, a researcher at the National Institute of Agronomy and Environment in France, he creates a research office that called Expo, where I work, in order to accompany municipalities to develop urban agriculture project. And I coordinate this office, and I deal and I lead the topic concerning the decision support for the installation of urban agriculture project. And this map shows some municipalities where we have collaborated with. And I would like to take just 5 minutes to present the case of study of Montrouge, that is here located in the south of suburb of Paris. And this municipalities counts around 49,000 inhabitants. So the measure of the municipalities contact us because we would like to develop urban agriculture at the municipal level. And in 2017, there is only one community garden. And he doesn't know how to do it. So we start to evaluate the potential of the city in terms of space and also in terms of actors. So we start by mapped all the space available to develop urban agriculture project, and we did a technical agronomical evaluation. So we identify a potential of 5 hectares in the rooftop and 7 hectares on the ground. And we decide and the second step was to evaluate the potential in terms of actors, because we would like to understand why the municipality and the local inhabitants would like, which are the demands in terms of urban agriculture. So the local authorities would like to develop both, create a local short supply chain and also develop urban agriculture to greener cities, and because it's really densely urbanized municipality. And we therefore verified these needs among local population, in particular restaurant and inhabitants. So the restaurators are interested in urban agriculture products because they consider that the urban agriculture products could be fresh, novel, tasty, and so on, but they don't want to give up to the service offered by the current retailers that guarantee efficiency, flexibility, volumes, and good price. So we suggest to municipality to create a working group to better understand the demand on terms of urban agriculture, and also consider the logistic issues of this to develop a short chain. On the other hand, the inhabitants are really interesting in urban agriculture, in particular to develop community garden. So we try to cross the space that are available to develop urban agriculture projects and the demands. And we identify some sites. We selected some pilot sites to help the municipality to implement a methodology and procedures to develop urban agriculture project. So we first suggest to the municipality to invest on creation of community gardens. And we help the municipalities to identify step by step the technical procedures that they could be developed to create a community garden and to provide land and the first infrastructure. But also we help the municipalities to formalize the expectation in terms of community garden program, because the municipality with this charter define and formalize their expectation, like agroecological system, the opening the garden to the city, and so on. And also, the municipality try to also clarify the engagement of the municipality to provide land and the first infrastructure to city dwellers. And now this is the map of Montrouge that we can find that in 4 years, they are able to develop 20 different projects within the cities. So thank you very much for your attention. I'm sorry for the issues.
Thank you, Giulia, for being such a passionate person for urban agriculture. And now it's time to hear Nicolas Gianelloni, sociologist and Secretary of Human Development and Habitat of the city of Rosario, Argentina. It's all yours, the presentation, Nicolas.
Hola, bueno, buen día aquí en Argentina. Todavía estamos llegando al mediodía, así que un gusto y gracias a Claudia por la invitación. Les voy a compartir la presentación. Para nosotros como Municipalidad de Rosario es muy importante poder contar la experiencia de agricultura urbana en la ciudad, donde el Estado se ha implicado de manera muy fuerte. Rápidamente hacer un estudio del contexto, especialmente desde Latinoamérica. Hacer agricultura urbana es todo un desafío. Nosotros en la ciudad de Rosario tenemos, y en la Argentina, un 50% de pobreza que nos ha legado la pandemia, pero que solamente aumentó, ya que veníamos con una pobreza estructural muy fuerte en la Argentina y con un problema respecto a la situación de la seguridad alimentaria y la nutrición en el mundo. Y tomamos como una gran noticia de que la FAO pusiera en el tapete de discusión la cuestión de los sistemas alimentarios y cómo transformar estos sistemas para garantizar la seguridad alimentaria en todo el continente y especialmente en nuestro país. Hoy tenemos dificultades en la alimentación en Latinoamérica, pero en Argentina en particular, respecto a que hay una gran parte de la población que no puede acceder a los elementos de la canasta básica. Aquellos que acceden son alimentos, los que son fáciles de acceder, son alimentos procesados, industrializados y de muy bajo valor nutricional. Además, que en los barrios populares de Argentina tenemos una gran dificultad para acceder a los alimentos frescos y saludables y que además sean de cercanía. Muy difícil poder acceder a alimentos frescos, teniendo en cuenta que además de que tenemos casi un 50% de pobreza, en la Argentina tenemos un 50% de inflación que en el año que concluyó. También las verduras y hortalizas para que podemos consumir y que están accesibles en los barrios, están vinculadas a una forma de agricultura industrial con un uso sin control de agroquímicos y fertilizantes. Además, nos encontramos en un proceso de alta especulación en el precio de los alimentos, por lo tanto, el 50% de inflación, claramente que no es una inflación que tenga que ver solamente con condiciones macroeconómicas de la Argentina, sino también con una alta especulación en la cadena de producción y comercialización. Y además, con un alto nivel de concentración en los sistemas alimentarios, en aquellos que los producen, que lo distribuyen y los comercializan. Además, tenemos de este contexto y de un diagnóstico muy duro respecto a garantizar el acceso a la alimentación en la Argentina, que dependemos extremadamente para trabajar los suelos de insumos, que esos insumos se hacen fuera del país y a un precio dolarizado, o sea, a precio dólar, lo cual dificulta mucho y encarece también esa forma de producción, aún en la producción industrial. Además del impacto que tiene sobre la afectación y la degradación de los suelos, y además, obviamente, la forma de producción que tenemos estándar en la Argentina tiene que ver con el uso de combustible y de agua, y también tenemos una alta dependencia crediticia e inestabilidad económica. Por eso nosotros queremos que en este contexto, los que trabajamos en el desarrollo humano y social, y con esta pobreza que nos conmueve y que nos duele todos los días en la Argentina, pensamos que la estrategia tiene que ver con la generación de empleo y la generación de oportunidades de trabajo, y nosotros en la ciudad de Rosario hace más de 30 años comenzamos la estrategia de la agricultura urbana, de la agroecología, para el desarrollo local. Parece algo alocado pensar que una estrategia para luchar contra la pobreza tenga que ver con la agroecología, y hablar de ecología pareciera algo del primer mundo, no del tercer mundo en el cual nosotros habitamos, pero a partir de ese desarrollo pudimos, y de pensar que la agricultura económicamente viable, socialmente aceptable y suficientemente productiva, y que conserve la base de nuestros recursos naturales y preserve la integridad de nuestro ambiente. Esto era lo que nosotros queremos como forma de producción para poder revertir estos índices de pobreza terribles que tenemos en la Argentina. Y también tomando a Sevilla Guzmán, que es uno de los pioneros de la agroecología, que la agroecología permite elaborar propuestas de acción social colectiva que apunten hacia una agricultura socialmente más justa, económicamente viable y ecológicamente apropiada. Para esto construimos el programa de agricultura urbana, y es un programa que ya comenzó a andar en el año 2002, ya como un programa municipal, y lo que promueve son emprendimientos familiares para cultivar verduras, hortalizas y hierbas aromáticas y medicinales a través del método de la agroecología. Por lo tanto, un método que solamente utiliza preparados naturales y no usa agroquímicos. Y estas huertas empezaron siendo para el autoconsumo familiar y comenzaron a lo comunitario, pero a partir de expandir este sistema de huertas nos permitió construir un sistema de ferias y mercados locales de proximidad. A través de este programa de agricultura urbana, hoy hay más de 2.400 familias que viven y que se sustentan a través de la producción agroecológica dentro de lo que es el ejido urbano de la ciudad de Rosario. Este trabajo se pudo hacer a través de la articulación pública, privada y con organizaciones sociales, ya que el Estado es el proveedor de las tierras, de los preparados, de los equipos técnicos que asesoran, pero las organizaciones sociales son las que convocan, ordenan, organizan y colaboran en la convocatoria de las personas que necesitan acceder a esta forma de producción como un medio de vida. Pero tuvimos que tomar algunas decisiones que fueron claves para que la agroecología sea parte del desarrollo estratégico de la ciudad y no solo una herramienta para salir de las crisis recurrentes que tenemos en la Argentina. Nosotros tuvimos una crisis económica y política muy fuerte en el año 2001, y la Argentina, y ahí fue cuando se fortalece el programa de agricultura urbana, que lo pudimos sostener en todos estos tiempos. Lo primero fue que dentro del plan estratégico metropolitano, o sea, en el plan que ordenó el funcionamiento urbano de nuestra zona, se integró la agroecología dentro de la planificación de la ciudad. Porque creo que no solamente uno necesita la decisión de querer producir agroecológicamente, sino también necesita las herramientas normativas que promuevan al acceso al suelo, a un suelo seguro que permita que el productor tenga tranquilidad para poder planificar su emprendimiento. También lo que pudimos hacer en el año 2016, lanzamos un proyecto que se llamó Cinturón Verde de la Ciudad, que es poder producir a gran escala alimento agroecológico, en los que era la reconversión de granjas que producían soja transgénica para poder reconvertirla a la producción de productos alimenticios de manera agroecológica. Y también en ese proyecto del plan metropolitano, lo que planificamos es poder ampliar la cantidad de hectáreas en la zona periurbana. Hoy la ciudad cuenta con una red de producción agroecológica con más de 75 hectáreas públicas que están puestas a disposición de los ciudadanos para este programa. El formato que tiene Rosario, que quizá distingue a otro tipo de estrategia de agricultura urbana, es que la ciudad de Rosario tiene parques huertas públicos, que son parques huertas de 3-4 hectáreas, en general públicas, que están preservadas por el Estado municipal, donde se las segmenta a las huertas para que cada familia tenga un lote que le permita el sustento de esa familia con la producción de ese terreno. Esas 7 parques huertas están distribuidos en los 6 distritos que tiene la ciudad de Rosario y son huertas conducidas por el Estado donde se proveen las semillas producidas en un centro agroecológico de innovación donde producimos las semillas que son agroecológicas y también los preparados. Esto nos permite que hoy hay más de 2.500 toneladas de verduras que se producen a través de este programa. Este año 2022 la agricultura urbana sigue creciendo en la ciudad de Rosario y a través de distintos convenios con empresas privadas que han puesto con terrenos que no usaban y reconversión de basurales, vamos a incorporar dos nuevos parques huertas a la ciudad. Y complementamos la propuesta que tiene que ver con no solamente pensar al momento de la producción, sino también pensar la comercialización. Tenemos una red muy fuerte de comercialización que el año 2021 llegamos a tener más de 1.000 mercados y ferias durante todo el año, distribuidos en toda la ciudad, donde se venden estos productos agroecológicos que tienen una gran aceptación de la población y que además podemos incidir en lo que tiene que ver en la conformación del precio, ya que el precio de la verdura, al tener las ferias ser municipales y la producción ser acompañada desde el momento de poner la semilla en la tierra, nos permite tener un precio competitivo y que los productos agroecológicos no sean productos difíciles de acceder a los sectores populares. Creo que eso es muy importante de poder incidir en el precio, porque muchas veces lo orgánico o agroecológico está asociado a un consumo premium, a un consumo difícil de acceder por los sectores populares, al menos en la Argentina. Ya hoy no solamente tenemos ferias, sino tenemos un mercado, que hemos construido un mercado central, que es el mercado del patio, se llama aquí en la ciudad, donde hay verdulerías específicas, donde durante todo el año se venden verduras agroecológicas. Durante el año, también para promover y sensibilizar a la población y acompañar esta propuesta, hacemos en el mes de septiembre la Semana de la Agricultura Urbana, donde se hacen conferencias, seminarios, se realizan jornadas para que también promover las huertas domiciliarias y también ferias especiales donde se hacen intercambio de semillas y padrinazgo de semillas. Este año 2021, el año que concluyó, Rosario además fue premiada a nivel internacional por el premio de la WRI, que nos permite poder fortalecer los sistemas de parques huertas y el programa de agricultura urbana. Fuimos seleccionados entre 262 propuestas y pudimos con este programa recibir un financiamiento internacional muy importante. Para concluir, no sé cómo estoy de tiempo, es importante, creo, hace poco tuve tiempo dentro de lo que significa los tiempos de la gestión pública y universitaria. Claudia, ¿cómo estoy de tiempo? No te escucho.
Tienes 5 minutos.
Bueno,
5 minutos.
Nosotros, este programa, principalmente creo que necesita la decisión de tomar la intención de cómo urbanizar la ciudad. Creo que es una forma de pensar de cómo urbanizar las ciudades. Necesita de este trabajo que hace también la compañera de Francia, de poder mapear los terrenos libres que tiene la ciudad. Nosotros los parques huertas muchos eran basurales, eran sectores anexos a vías de tren que no tenían uso y los reconvertimos en parques huertas. Creo que es muy importante lograr el apoyo de la población, la sensibilización, eso lo hemos podido lograr, creo aparte con las nuevas generaciones, trabajar en las escuelas, Tenemos un programa que es complementario al de agricultura urbana, que es la huerta en casa y la huerta en la escuela, que nos permite sensibilizar y generar apoyo para no solo recibir donaciones de empresas privadas que quieran donar terrenos, sino también sensibilizar a los futuros consumidores para que quieran comprar en las ferias y que sepan que cada decisión al momento de consumir es una decisión política de qué tipo de ciudad queremos. Si queremos comprar verdura con agroquímicos o productos agroecológicos que además redundan en inclusión social. Y en esto no puedo dejar de lado mi formación. Me presentaron como sociólogo, pero soy abogado, docente de sociología jurídica, de que creo que es clave dar también la discusión y el debate en el campo jurídico. Es muy importante las normativas, que las normativas acompañen y promuevan. Yo creo que hay que promover no solo respecto a las normativas del acceso a semillas, sino las normativas para la comercialización, el acceso de tierra segura para los productores y lo que tiene que ver con normativas que permitan que la ciudad tenga una estrategia establecida y que pasen los gobiernos, como nos ha pasado aquí en Rosario, que han ido cambiando los gobiernos y ya es una decisión de Estado en la ciudad de Rosario, donde la forma de urbanizar los terrenos que no tienen uso tengan que ver con urbanizar con más verde. Y para finalizar, dejo una reflexión. Hace pocos días pude mirar esta película, que supongo que todos han podido leer esto, que dice Don't Look Up. No sé si han visto esta película nueva. Y yo creo que pensaba mucho que a veces esta película controvierte todo lo mal que estamos haciendo de una manera muy sarcástica. Y creo que yo a veces pienso que así como esto, en la película la gente miraba el cielo, creo que nosotros tenemos que mirar la tierra y darnos cuenta que muchas de las respuestas que tenemos a lo que hacemos bien, a lo que hacemos mal, pero las respuestas para lo que podemos hacer bien, tiene que ver con la tierra. Yo diría que así como la película decía no miren para arriba, yo diría miremos para abajo. Miremos la tierra, que la soluciona a muchos de los problemas que vivimos aquí en la Argentina, que tienen que ver con la exclusión social, con la desigualdad, que tienen que ver con la dificultad de que la gente pueda acceder a comer, tan básico como esto, que podamos comer. La solución está en la tierra. A veces en los barrios de la ciudad de Rosario, la tierra solamente está pensada en armar una casa, para armar un lugar donde vivir, pero muchas veces la respuesta está en poder poner una semilla. Creo que ahí está la discusión de fondo de poder utilizar nuestra tierra como una forma para revertir desigualdades. Estamos convencidos de eso aquí desde Argentina y me alegro que aquí en esta conferencia demuestra que nos ha reunido Claudia, que hay mucho más que estamos preocupados en cómo cuidar nuestra tierra y que, bueno, a nuestros pies están las soluciones. Un abrazo grande y por mucha más agroecología en el mundo.
Muchas gracias, Nicolas. Thank you for the presentation. Shortly before the pandemic, I went to Rosario to visit the project and became a big fan of all you are doing there. My dream is to make something as wonderful as you are doing in my city, São Paulo. And now I invite Silvia Comeneiro. She is member of the International Network of School Gardens, Red Internacional de Huertos Educativos, RIE, which gathers initiatives, institutions, and organizations of several countries in Latin America. Welcome, Silvia.
Thank you, Claudia. I was thinking to talking in Spanish, but I'm going to try it in English. So maybe I'm going to read some of the slides. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, are you already looking? Yeah, okay. Well, good morning, good afternoon for the different schedules. My name is Silvia. I'm talking here for a collective of many people. We did this presentation in a collective way, so there are some slides in English, some slides in Spanish. I'm gonna try to say in English so that the audience can hear and understand more clearly. The purpose is to talk about what are like the scopes and the challenges we've seen in Latin America around the educational or school gardens and the programs and public policies. We have been gathering in this network since 2009. We have already realized 10 congresses, encounters, we call them, for the exchange of experiences and learnings and to strengthen our network, multiplying networks also in local stages in Chile, in Argentina, in Mexico. We have some publications, we have a newspaper in which we found the experiences of our members, and we have like this media in which we share the information. In every time which we gather, we exchange the experiences. So I'm going to talk about some of the information that has been shared by several members in the different spaces of encountering we have. First of all, I would like to remember or share why we think educational gardens are very important. We think that they are like clue pedagogical tools for educational innovation because they engage this critical, systemic, transdisciplinary, intergenerational, and intercultural approach and thinking. They also help us to create bonding and community with familial teachers, directors, and actors outside the schools. They reconnect us with our emotions, with nature, with non-human beings, earth, water, air, natural cycles, and rhythms. They help us also to grasp this complexity, this ecological, social, political, economical, and cultural complexity of agri-food systems. They contribute, as also Nicola has said, to the massification of agroecology and reassess this traditional peasant and indigenous agriculture as starting points to generate fairer and healthier agri-food systems. They also help to protect and recreate the free and native seeds. We are part of these movements in Latin America also. The school gardens also help to revalue bicultural diversity, regenerate our social ecosystems, and reverse climate change. And so therefore they help us to promote sustainable development. And also, as also Nicola has reflected in his talk, they promote our social responsibility as consumers of local and seasonal food produced using techniques that respect the environment, ecological, agroecological, biodynamic agriculture, regeneration agriculture, and they also dignify the treatment of the producer families. These school gardens, well, this is a slide in Spanish, I'm not gonna translate here. So I wanna tell about several experiences that we have been hearing of and gathering in our network of people that in their countries have been connecting universities with governments to help programs. So this is one of the most important programs. It's called the Programa de Huertas en Centros Educativos, school garden programs in educational centers, that was held between the Universidad de la República en Uruguay y la Facultad de Agronomía, which has an agroecological scope and a lot of persons that are part of the agroecological movement in Uruguay, in Argentina, and also in Latin America that have promoted these programs. So they have like this precedent of this program of production of food and community organization also promoted by the university. And they started to promote like this autogestive and community gardens for resolution of problematics as in alimentary insecurity. So they did this big familiar movement, and they realized in this holding of agricultural and urban agricultural and familiar agriculture that there was like this need to connect also these processes with educational processes. So they created this program that was held for 15 years. And that was an arrangement between the Faculty of Agronomy and public schools in Uruguay, and also governments at the level of municipality. That is like the smallest level of policies in some of the countries in Latin America. So they made like this combination of what are the scopes of the school gardens, mixing this sustainable development education with agroecology, taking the garden as expanded room. Aula is the place in which we take classes. They also promote this integrality of university extension, mixing what we call the action participatory research, that it has a lot of force in Latin America. Giacche, is different from some participatory investigation or research in other traditions, because it's really bonded to popular education. So we mix this connecting with other knowledge with the work of local governments. They also promote this learning to the people who give the gardens, to facilitators, to teachers and students of university, about with these patencies, the social service, and also with a really methodical systematization of the experience. So you can see in this address over here, they have all the reports and the informs of how they were holding the program after 15 years. And so they also articulated with some other public programs. They have several ones, some ones in jails, some ones in former education, connecting faculties that not were only the agronomy one. They also helped to rebuild these gardens after a tornado. And so they were already since 2016 thinking about a national plan of agroecology. And so many of the persons that participated in the school gardens and the Facultad of Agronomía, that are also members of SOCLA, that is an agroecological association in Latin America, and it's very important. They started to negotiate a national plan of agroecology that has also already been sent to the parliament, and that was having a really good support within a left government over here. But since there has been like a political movement toward right, I don't know if I say right, like derecha, it means like conversatory or neo-fascist governments like Bolsonaro and what's happening in other countries. And so Uruguay was one of those, and this plan of national agroecology was stopped. I know that Brazil has also been experimenting these processes. So I'm not going to talk a lot about this Argentina process, because it's very similar to what Nicola has shared to us in Rosario. And it's a program of school gardens in Buenos Aires that has been incorporating also with the umbrella of a national law of environmental education and a strategy to promote the environmental education integrality in all over the country. So they have also have this systematic process of articulation of schools, universities, some enterprises, ONGs, and the government, local governments within the Ministry of Education. And they have like this 3 thematic area strategy in which they do the formation of teachers, and also they use the school gardens as a strategy for recycling and action for climate change and sustainable communities. So there's the address over there if you want to search more about this experience. We want to tell about the MST in Brazil. It's a movement of, they call No Land. It's a lot of peasant communities that have been fighting for the right of the land, and they have taken the land. They didn't ask for permission because there was no rights, or there was no agri-reform in Brazil as we have in Mexico. But in these asentamientos and campamentos, it's like the place that they have taken the lands that they now own. They have made more than 2,000 public schools. And these schools are independent of government, but they have like this alliances with the Ministry of Education, but some of them are more independent, and it's a public peasant school. So they are, the challenge is to form men and women of the peasant women, promoters of this peasant identity in a fight that promotes agroecology and food sovereignty. Mothers have a very, very important role in there. They held also the values of education for freedom of Paulo Freire, the education of the peasant agroecology, and they try to also connect children with the movement of MCST, and they also, as children, participate in mobilization. So this is a really, Claudia, yeah, okay.
No, I'm just saying I'm loving the MST presentation we are doing. You have 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. So this is an example of how policies are also made in territories from independent movements. And I hope Claudia could tell us more about MST. And so in Mexico, well, in Peru, they have like this bio gardens, bioeducational gardens, I think will be the translation. And so we have this connection with Association Por Eso Peru, but there are a lot of associations that are working with this program. And so each association has their own personality, but Por Eso Peru works with indigenous peoples in Cusco, and they use the biointensive method. So that allows to produce a lot of food in small spaces to feed families and have like a little extra for selling. So they have like this integral process of producing food with mixing collective work, and also involving the parents in the committees of the gardens. In Mexico, we have like this lovely experience of diplomate of formation that it's held in Chiapas. That's not like a policy, but it's a program that connects the work of an association, a university, and also a network, a local network that has a real peasant and indigenous personality in Los Altos de Chiapas. And there have been 4 generations of teachers formatted in this diplomate, and the creation of the Chiapaneca, the school gardens network of Chiapas. And so finally, I want to make this connection between the challenges of making policies and the challenges of maintaining autonomous process of school gardens. We think that there is important to have like this umbrella of public policies, and most of them in Latin America are being oriented toward agroecology. In Mexico, we have been like for 3 years working in the possibility of a national plan of agroecology. There has been programs that are held in this, as in Argentina, as Brazil sometime, in Uruguay. So there's like this agroecological movement that's very important in Latin America, and that is like the big umbrella that is protecting and holding and supporting some of the policies that are not built from the up levels, but from the participation and multi-stakeholder collaboration of many people, and with the scope of the elemental rights and human beings' rights, and also the collective rights of indigenous peasants and Afro-descendant peoples, the rights of nature also. So there's like this movement, very important, fighting with different kinds of governments that allow or not allow these policies to grow up. But finally, the school gardens and this movement of agroecological people and indigenous and autonomous learning communities we are is held in the articulation and the alliances that with organization, networks, grassroots works, and also agroecological associations, very important, as Socla, Via Campesina, these free freedom networks that are also very important in Latin America. And so this documentation, systematization of our own experiences, this methodology we call MACAC, that is peasant to peasant methodology, that it's a very horizontal way of doing this process of learning about the practices of peasant people and also to generate better agri-food systems. And so this autonomous force of the movement has also taught us that maybe it's important to keep fighting for policies because that multiplicates the efforts. But the core and the heart of this process is also, most of all, these communities of love we generate towards the protection of life. So I hope I have respected the time and that my English kind of was not so bad. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Silvia. Very rich presentation. I ask everyone to keep sending the questions. After my speech, we will go through all of them. And well, now it's me. I will start with the context, very brief context vision on public policies towards agriculture in Brazil. We are here in a very bad political time for agroecology, as you can imagine. And to summarize in one phrase, almost all public money is invested on big plantations that provide soy, corn, and beef, talking about pastures, to international markets. I will try to share my presentation, just a minute. Oh, where are you? Excuse me, I'm having trouble here. It's here. Okay. Okay, just a minute. That's it. I hope you are seeing it well. Okay. The tributes that we Brazilian citizens pay to the government is employed mostly in credit to big properties. These properties practice a kind of agriculture very aggressive to the environment and often linked to deforestation. Our country is producing more MGO soy and less traditional foods such as rice, beans, and cassava year by year. Food prices are high because of drought and land used to produce commodities. Recently, international markets, mainly in Europe and the UK, started to impose sanctions on Brazilian commodities. I will not dive into this issue, which is alone a subject for another meeting. I will focus now on urban agriculture. There's no federal policy to support urban agriculture in Brazil. There's also no strong state policies. The initiatives usually are created by municipalities, and most of them, although heroic, are incomplete. But some progress is happening. Community gardens and urban agriculture social entrepreneurship started to be seen as something trendy in the past decade. This is helping to decrease the amount of politicians and citizens that are against urban agriculture. New laws supporting urban crop production are passing in several cities, Brazil is very big and has more than 5,000 cities. I try to keep track on what's going on, but it is impossible to follow everything. As I told you in the beginning, I'm a journalist, activist, and urban farmer, and I'm also a co-congresswoman in a collective mandate at São Paulo State Parliament. At the state level, in São Paulo, there is no policy for urban agriculture that is relevant and already working. So I will speak about my city, São Paulo. The current mayor has the implementation of 400 edible gardens among his goals. It is written in his plan, but there is no more details, milestones, or dialogue with society and activists. Until now, they just mapped the existing farms and gardens. You can see there the page on the internet where they show it. But for us, guerrilla gardeners, it's already considered progress. I will tell you a secret. Until recently, we were afraid that public power could one day destroy our community gardens. But now we are mapped by them. So it's a kind of make us feel more secure. Activism in São Paulo is one inflection point to start public policies. I will describe now my own personal experience and how I became a politician because of the activism. I started to grow food in my yard 14 years ago. The main reason was my concerns for the future of humanity and the importance of preserving the ancient knowledge of domestic food production. I don't separate my activities as a gardener from my work as a journalist. I committed myself to the idea of spreading the word about food security and urban ecology as much as I can. Every day I learn something new. Every day I post it immediately on social media to help others to improve their skills on urban gardening. And I also learn a lot from fellow gardeners. In 2011, I created with a friend a Facebook group called Hortelões Urbanos. It means urban gardeners. Very difficult to spell in English, so it's written in the image. The group today has more than 80,000 participants from all over Brazil. The conversation there helped thousands to start home gardens and hundreds to start community gardens, including me. In 2012, just 1 year after the beginning of the group, I became co-founder of the Owl's Garden, Horta das Corujas. This is the first community garden in an open public square in São Paulo. I still volunteer there every week for at least 5 hours. The experience is challenging and now also life-changing for many people, including me. The Owl's Garden became famous and inspired other community gardens in São Paulo and many cities. Several leaders of these gardens, including me, created the São Paulo Community Garden Union in 2017. Because of Horta das Corujas and other actions as an environmental activist, I was invited in 2018 to join a collective of 9 activists from different backgrounds and causes to run together a campaign for a state congressperson. We received 150,000 votes, and now we are starting our mandates last year. When the pandemic broke, activities in parliament slowed down, and an economical and social crisis brought back hunger to Brazil. An activist that works with me started to go to peri-urban farms to donate money, collect the crop surplus, and transport it to people in poor neighborhoods in São Paulo. Most of these farmers are linked to MST, the landless movement that Silvia was talking about. I joined the initiative. It's called Frente Alimenta, the feeding front line. And I'm there, you can see in the corner, I'm there in a bin field of MST assentamento. Today, we provide weekly fresh vegetables for community kitchens in the poorest areas of São Paulo, mostly slum. Everything is free of pesticides. Some of the food comes from rural areas, mainly MST, and some from urban areas. We are fostering a very local chain that feeds people in need and at the same time creates wealth for poor urban farmers, mostly women. At the beginning, the funding came from small donations made by family and friends of the activists engaged in the action, and from our own pockets. Our first institutional funder is an NGO based here and present to this event here in England, I say, Be the Earth. Be the Earth still supports us with money and consultancy. In the last months, some Brazilian companies started to fund us. Frente Alimenta now is growing very carefully. We know that our biggest talent is the deep knowledge on the agroecological food chain and the quality of the relationship with community leaders. We know everybody. We often visit the producers and the kitchens, so we don't want to exchange quality for quantity. As a co-congresswoman, I haven't achieved much progress yet on the issues of food security and urban agriculture. The political system in Brazil is not paying attention to everything that we are discussing here today until now, but I won't give up. In Portuguese, we have a popular saying, água mole em pedra dura, tanto bate até que fura. Me and my colleagues, activists on urban agriculture, will have something equal of the say, is water dropping day by day wears the hardest rock away. And we are together day by day, dropping this water to change things. I will finish my presentation in my backyard again. Last year, I harvested, this photo here is wrong. I didn't save the last version of the presentation. Here I'm at the Owl's Garden, but the previous one I was in my backyard. Last week, I harvested lots of seedlings, crop surplus, and seeds to send to women farmers on the outskirts of São Paulo. They are expanding their planting area. Everything is connected, and my utopia is that all the world becomes again a big edible garden. I'm very happy to be here today and see all these spotlights from all over our continent and also all over the world being presented. Thank you very much for your attention. Now, I know we received lots of questions. I will read them. Let me check the time. We still have 23 minutes. So each one of us will answer the questions and make the comments and say goodbye in 5 minutes. We will start, now we will start with Silvia and then Nicholas and then Giulia and then me. Let me just, I will put a copy in the chat, but I will read the questions we received and we can go on. Okay. Giulia already answered in the chat about the rooftop gardens, but it will be nice to hear her again. To Nico, the questions are: what size plots of land for a family? What was all the 75,000 hectares of land used for before? Do you have nationalized ownership of land in Argentina? Did the municipality already own this land, which has been then provided for families, or it was distributed from another way? Access to land is a huge barrier for agroecological producers in UK and Europe, in Brazil also. Nicholas, it would be great to find out more about the 3-4 hectares, how the land is distributed. Everybody wants to know about the land distribution. The issues on fertility of the soil in Rosario. Claudia, you mentioned how there is no national policy in your country. I will answer after. The question is if it's the goal, how important I think a national policy is. To all speakers, how replicable do you think your model is to other countries? And if you have recommendations for resources and networks. Question in relation to the number of urban agriculture initiatives. If there is a census in our countries, how can we engage the agroecology movement in active opposition of those things that work against us and we are all trying to achieve? In the UK, there's a very strong trend for those working with food and farming, etc., etc. So I will put in the chat, you can read it in more detail. And now it's Silvia's time. Silvia, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Claudia. Well, I felt like connected with this question about how can we engage the agroecology movement in active opposition of those things that work against what we are all trying to achieve. I'm going to talk about the Mexico experience, that it's connected to many others in Abya Yala. That's the way we talk about Latin America. It's a way of some indigenous people named this country we are, and it's not a colonization word for that. So in Abya Yala in Mexico, particularly, we have been like since 4 years now, having like this left government. And so since then, many activists and environmental activists that have been fighting for the territory defense, the defense of the native corn in Mexico, transgenic or OGM corn, it's prohibited. There has been since like more than 15 years a movement that have been holding a legal fight. So Monsanto and other companies, but particularly Monsanto, that has been trying to introduce, and sometimes even not legally, and contaminating corn, but Monsanto has been, and now Bayer, crop science Bayer, that it's now Monsanto, has been trying to introduce OGM corn. So there has been many activists since 15 years fighting for that not to happen, and it has been, yeah, like slowing down that process. And since 4 years ago that we have like this left government, that effort became a governmental federal constitutional decree. So now it's officially forbidden to introduce OGM corn into Mexico. There are also other crops that are not prohibited yet. But so there's like this movement, and many activists of environmental processes are now in the government. But then we have seen that sometimes from the institution it's not enough to make these processes to be autonomous, independent. So it's more important to protect these efforts that are held like in processes like Claudia has told us, communitary, autonomous, peasant, farmer, people processes. And so only if that movement keeps strong, then policies are maybe available. So we have been seeing a minister, an activist, an environmental activist, very important in Mexico, was the minister of the environmental ministry 2 years ago. And he inside saw the limits of being inside government. So there are things that can be done. There are many efforts that can be supported from government with the budget, the federal budgets, the local budgets, but mostly are the multi-stakeholder communities and autonomous-based school gardens, urban gardens, peasant gardens, and this movement of food sovereignty and free sedums that it's supporting that policies. So my thought to that question will be like keep organizing in small collectives, in big collectives, in networks, and in an autonomous way in order to have the strength enough to make policies possible and to keep with the work when the governments are not holding that policies anymore, as has passed a lot in many governments in Latin America. So that's that.
Thank you, Silvia, and thank you for this meeting, because I finally met you. And now, Nico, it's your time for your considerations and answers.
Bueno, no, primero la pregunta respecto al lote base que damos a cada familia huertera. El lote es de 500 metros cuadrados. Con esa cantidad de tierra puede vivir una huerta familiar. Una familia puede vivir de su producción. ¿Se escucha bien? Y respecto a la posesión de la tierra, nosotros tenemos, son distintas formas. Algunos son terrenos ferroviarios, que estaban sin uso por vías muertas, que tomamos posesión de esos terrenos en acuerdos con las empresas que gerencian los ferrocarriles en la Argentina. Otros son terrenos que están sin uso, que eran basurales, eran terrenos fiscales, o digamos de los estados, tanto provincial o municipal o nacional, y le hemos logrado los acuerdos para poder darle otro uso. Y también tenemos una ordenanza municipal, o sea, una normativa municipal, que nos permite que los privados que tienen terrenos que no utilizan, tienen una sanción especial por el no uso de la tierra. A veces lo usan por una forma especulativa, por lo tanto tienen una sanción y se le cobra un impuesto más caro, una tasa más cara de mantenimiento. Por lo tanto les termina conveniendo cederlo al Estado por un tiempo para la producción agroecológica, y de esa manera tenemos muchas de estas hectáreas, tienen que ver con esta presión sobre los propietarios que no le dan el uso. Y creo que la otra pregunta tenía que ver con la forma de las semillas, ¿puede ser? ¿Con la producción, Claudia? No te escucho.
La pregunta era sobre la fertilidad del suelo, la compactación del suelo, cómo ustedes trabajan con esto.
Sí, nosotros tenemos, para todo el sostenimiento técnico de todos los espacios, tenemos un centro agroecológico donde trabajan equipos técnicos que lidera Antonio Latuca, que fue el precursor del programa, con todo un equipo que trabaja en el mantenimiento de la idea de la agroecología, ¿no? Que hacen los preparados y también la tierra, que habitualmente obviamente lleva una transición para la producción agroecológica limpia, porque habitualmente son terrenos que hay que trabajarlo y se va poniendo también con el mismo cultivo, se va preparando la tierra y a través de utilizar el compost también, que lo preparamos en el centro agroecológico. Y tenemos obviamente máquinas composteras que van haciendo la producción y vamos preparando la tierra. Obviamente que lleva un proceso y un tiempo y vamos monitoreando la calidad de nuestros cultivos a través de convenios que tenemos con distintos laboratorios universitarios. Pero creo que la clave tiene que ver con poder trabajar y darle tiempo a que la tierra vaya convirtiéndose en realmente agroecológica, ¿no? Al principio comienza una transición de desintoxicación para después llegar a la agroecología.
Thank you. And now it's Giulia. Tiene lots of questions.
I'm back.
On friends.
Yes. Concerning the soil, I think the soil it's a very important resource that we have to preserve. And also, we have to recreate a fertility. And another topic that we work with is the pollution of the soil, because we help also municipalities to characterize the quality of their soil and manage the pollution. Because we try to avoid, if it's possible, of course, to just throw away a soil that we contaminated, but we promote some innovative solution to deal with the pollution if it's possible, of course. And concerning the topsoil, also we suggest to take the advantage on urban resources to create topsoil on the rooftop. And I put in the chat an article that was published by the director of Expo, Christine Aubry, and other colleagues, and concern experimentation of 5 years on AgroParisTech on the rooftop, because they try to combine different substrates to create a topsoil that it's good in terms of physical or chemical characteristics. So I think it's an interesting experiences that people could share and also replicate. So concerning the replicability of the model, I think it's easier replicate some solution or some ideas, and the network is really important to circulate ideas, project, and connection. And concerning our structure, that it's a transfer structure between research and action, between research and local authorities. We also speak a lot with the Italian colleagues, and we will see, maybe I come back to Italy to do this job. I hope so, but I don't know. So I think it's possible to replicate some models and some projects, of course. Thank you very much for the invitation. Thanks also for the translation, and see you soon.
Yes, we still have some minutes. I'm very happy. I don't know if I will cover all the questions now because there are many. I'm a bit moved. I'm very glad to hear from Silvia that OGM corn is now forbidden in Mexico. It's a dream for us in Brazil, but today it seems a dream a bit far, because these interests of agribusiness and big companies that produce MGO are running the country, actually. So we have a lot to speak. I'm very happy to be here to hear everyone. And somebody asked if I think that federal policy is the solution. And I don't know, and I'm not very confident on the political system. Actually, I'm anarchist at heart, and being inside the political system, my heart becomes every day a bit more anarchist, because we tend to think that governments are very powerful and we activists are small and are just a few crazy people, small and etc. But being there inside that rotten system, I now think the opposite. We activists are doing so much, being so little people, and this movement of urban agroecology is very contagious in a good way, and it's going on all the world. So it seems that, and when I see all these initiatives related to kids and schools and neighborhoods, we will have new people coming to the planet, becoming adults in a world that going to a community garden is something that is part of their childhood. It was not part of mine. And I don't know, but at this moment, I believe we need support from the state. And this is a transition. And I hope we enter in a transition now to be again a civilization of farmers. And when we decolonize being in South America, we can feel that all the indigenous people, they used to do that naturally, and we are trying to go back to that agroforestry, natural agroforestry, that we can grow in cities, in the rural areas, and etc. Here, I see every day that the peasant knowledge is not dragging some attention. And I can say that freely because I was like that in the beginning. Because I went to university, I'm a journalist, I used to think that two things are very easy that anyone can do, even if the person is illiterate. One is raising kids and the other one is planting food. And I was wrong in the two. And it's a very sophisticated knowledge, but it's different from the academic knowledge. And because people that knows everything about farming, the food production in a small scale to nurture the family, they didn't had academic possibilities to go to school, etc. They tend to be seen as ignorant or dumb people, and it's terrible, and we feel that every day. And when I'm dressed as a farmer working in the land, it's very common people think I'm dumb, because here is the inertial way of seeing things. So Brazil is very recently urbanized. We still have people among us, mainly old people, that knows how to produce food in the traditional way. Our movement of urban activists is one of the reasons of our existence, is try to honorate and keep that knowledge alive for the next generations. So we are approaching the end. I've put my contact in the chat. I have the contact of everybody here and also the organizers, friends, Francesca, Brittany. I thank you so much and thank my colleagues, and let's continue to build this wonderful network. Have a nice day, everyone.